Okay, so get this. Today we're diving into a treasure trove of mythical objects, but with a twist. You guys sent us this awesome tier list, ranking real and fictional items based on how believable and how powerful they'd be if they were, actually real.
You know what I find fascinating? Your list, it flips the script on myth making. Like, instead of starting with a fantastical story and, going from there, it's asking, could this even exist?
Yeah.
It's a really unique way to kind of explore these objects.
Like we're Mythbusters, but for history and legend. So we're starting with your most grounded tier, the C tier. Stuff that, might actually have existed, even if the stories around them got a little embellished.
Indeed. And it's important to remember, even in this tier, the real question isn't just about like physical authenticity. It's about the power we as humans, like we imbue these objects with. Why do certain objects like captivate our imaginations, and become infused with meaning across generations?
It's like that feeling you get like when you're standing in a museum looking at, I don't know, an ancient crown.
Yeah.
It's not just gold and jewels. It's the weight of history, the stories it could tell.
Exactly.
If it could talk. Speaking of which, we got to talk about Lanza Longinus.
The spear that's said to have pierced the side of Jesus. It's like a perfect example of a relic, an object that transcends its physical form to become a tangible link to, a momentous event. Multiple museums even claim to possess pieces of it, each piece imbued with like deep religious significance.
Which makes you wonder, like, why this spear? Spears were like everywhere back then. It's the story, the connection to like a pivotal moment in history that elevates it to something almost supernatural. But then the Ark of the Covenant that takes the what if factor to a whole new level. No one's found it, yet its description, it's so vivid. A chest holding the 10 Commandments, so sacred you could be harmed just by touching it. It's wild.
And that specificity, that vividness, it's what makes it so compelling. It transforms the Ark from a vague notion into something almost tangible. We can practically picture it, feel its weight.
It's like the difference between someone saying like a magic sword and describing a blade forged with the fury of a dying star. Its hilt etched with runes that, glow when danger's near. The detail, the imagery that makes it real.
Precisely. And that takes us to your B tier, where the line between relic and pure myth, it gets blurrier. We're talking Excalibur, the legendary sword of King Arthur, and Mjolnir, the awe-inspiring hammer of Thor.
Two iconic weapons, each tied to a larger-than-life figure. And yet, they're both rooted in historical context. I mean, think about it. The image of a king with a magical sword, it's practically universal.
Because it speaks to something deeply ingrained in our collective psyche, the idea of a chosen one, a leader whose destiny is intertwined with a powerful artifact. Excalibur wasn't just given to Arthur, he drew it from the stone, proving his worthiness to rule. It wasn't just a weapon, it was a symbol of leadership, of destiny.
It's like that chosen one narrative is hardwired into us. And you see that connection with Mjolnir, too. Vikings actually wore hammer-shaped amulets for protection and strength. But then you have Mjolnir summoning storms, leveling mountains. Talk about an upgrade.
It's fascinating how mythology takes something familiar, something from everyday life, and imbues it with extraordinary power.
It really makes you wonder, like, what everyday objects from our lives, could become like the stuff of legends in the future. Imagine like archaeologists centuries from now digging up a smartphone. Would they think it was some kind of like magic talisman?
It's a tantalizing thought, and it speaks to the fluidity of the line between the mundane and the mythical. But as we move into the A tier of your list, we shift from potential history into the realm of pure symbolism. These objects, they represent something bigger than themselves.
Okay, so we're getting more metaphorical here.
Much more.
Yeah, and leading the charge is the Golden Fleece. Now, we're probably not talking about literal gold here, right?
Right.
So what was Jason really risking life and limb for on that ship full of demigods?
Precisely. The Golden Fleece represents something far more alluring. Prosperity, kingship, divine favor. It embodies ambition on an epic scale, the relentless pursuit of power and wealth that has, captivated humanity for millennia.
It's like the ultimate prize.
Absolutely.
The thing that, drives heroes to undertake these impossible quests. But it's not really about the fleece itself, is it?
Yeah.
It's about what it represents, the ambition, the risks we're willing to take for what we desire.
Exactly. And that brings us to the Philosopher's Stone, the pinnacle of alchemical aspiration. Now, alchemy was it was the proto-science of its day, grounded in real experiments and observations.
Right.
But was the Philosopher's Stone ever meant to be taken literally? Did they truly believe that a single object could grant immortality, transmute lead into gold?
Or was it more about the pursuit itself, the relentless pursuit of knowledge, the dedication to self-improvement, pushing the boundaries of what's possible? Isn't that what the Philosopher's Stone really represents?
It's a crucial distinction. The Philosopher's Stone, it embodies transformation, but not necessarily in a literal physical sense. It's about the process of striving, of seeking something beyond our grasp.
You know, it's funny you should say that. We all have our own, like, metaphorical philosopher's stones. You know, those seemingly impossible goals that drive us, that keep us striving for something more. What would yours be? What impossible dream, like, fuels your journey?
Now, that's a question that could spark a deep dive all on its own, but perhaps we should save that for another time, because as intriguing as this tier is, things are about to get truly mind-bending as we venture into your S tier and beyond.
All right, so we are officially crossing over from, like, history and myth into, like, pure fantasy here.
Yeah.
S tier and beyond. This is where the laws of physics take a backseat and things get really meta. And kicking it off, we have a classic, The One Ring.
Oh, right.
From Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings, yeah.
Tolkien he tapped into something, like, primal with this one.
He did?
I mean, yeah, invisibility is cool and all.
Sure.
But it's the temptation, that insidious pull. That's what really gets under your skin.
It's a brilliant exploration of the kind of the seductive nature of power, right? It's not a roaring monster or some flashy display of magic. It's a whisper in your ear, a promise of ultimate control that preys on your, like, deepest desires.
Yeah.
That's what makes it scary.
It's like that old saying, be careful what you wish for, but, like, times 1,000.
Exactly.
Which, speaking of, leads us to another pretty iconic object, Pandora's box. Again, it's less about the box itself and more about what it represents.
Yeah.
That insatiable human curiosity,
Mm-hmm.
the desire to know, even if it means, like, unleashing chaos.
It's a tale as old as time. The allure of forbidden knowledge, the temptation to pry open the secrets of the universe, even if it means facing, unintended consequences. Pandora's box, it reminds us that some things are best left undisturbed.
Mm-hmm.
That true wisdom lies in knowing when to embrace the unknown and when to, exercise restraint.
It's a cautionary tale, for sure, but a compelling one nonetheless. Okay, from here on out, we're going full speed ahead. We are diving headfirst into the S to Beyond broken category. These aren't just objects anymore. They're like thought experiments, each one challenging our understanding of what's possible. So buckle up. First up, the Sword of Damocles.
The ultimate symbol of precarious power. Imagine you achieve everything you ever dreamed of. You reach, like, the pinnacle of success, only to have this, like, razor-sharp sword suspended by a single thread just dangling above your head.
Nice.
It perfectly captures that constant tension, that awareness that even in moments of, like, triumph, vulnerability is never too far behind.
Yeah, it's a sobering thought.
Yeah.
That constant awareness that it could all, like, come crashing down
At any moment.
Yeah, definitely makes you appreciate the simple things in life. And speaking of things worth striving for, we have the Holy Grail.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not just about, like, immortality or anything, right? It's about finding something so profound, so, like, deeply meaningful that it becomes a lifelong quest. What would your personal Holy Grail be? Something worth, like, devoting your life to pursuing.
Well, that's a big question.
Yeah.
I think
And from the pursuit of meaning to the raw power of nature, we come to Poseidon's trident.
yes.
It's more than just a weapon. It's like the unbridled fury of the ocean.
Yeah.
The very essence of nature's might, like, channeled into this single object.
Yeah,
It makes you realize just how small we are.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things. But then there's that uniquely human drive.
Yeah.
To reach beyond our limits, to touch the sky.
To defy gravity.
Even if it means, defying gravity itself. And there's no better example of that than Icarus and his wings.
Ugh, Icarus. The original Reach for the Stars story, but, it's a tale of ambition and innovation, but also a reminder of the importance of balance. Pushing boundaries is essential for progress, but knowing our limits, respecting that delicate balance between aspiration and, recklessness, it's equally crucial.
It's about finding that sweet spot between pushing too far and not pushing far enough. Now, how about this? For pushing boundaries, the heart of eternity. Imagine possessing, like, the power to control time itself.
Whoa.
The possibilities, the temptations.
It's almost too much to comprehend.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Like, where do you even begin to grapple with that kind of power?
It's a question that delves into like the very essence of our humanity, you know? If given control over something as fundamental as time, would we use it for good?
Oh,
Or
really?
our own desires, our flaws, you know, would they lead us down a darker path? The heart of eternity isn't just an object, it's a mirror reflecting the complexities of our own nature.
It makes you think about like what truly motivates us,
Mm-hmm.
for better or for worse.
Yeah.
And finally, we come to an object that it brings us face to face with our like deepest desires,
Okay.
our hidden selves, the mirror of rust. As they say in the wizarding world, it shows us nothing more or less than the deepest, most desperate desire of our hearts.
And isn't that a profound thought that within each of us there's a reflection of our truest selves, our aspirations, our fears, our flaws all laid bare. The mirror of Arise, it's not just a magical artifact. It's a reminder that true self-discovery, it requires us to confront like both the light and the shadow within.
And that brings us to the end of our whirlwind exploration of mythical objects and their hidden depths, from relics steeped in history to objects that defy the very fabric of reality.
It's quite a spectrum.
It's incredible how these items they spark our imaginations and they reveal something essential about what it means to be to be human.
Each object, from the most grounded to the utterly fantastical, it offers this unique lens through which we can examine our hopes, our fears, and these timeless questions that have captivated humanity for centuries. They remind us of the power of stories, the enduring allure of the unknown, and the boundless potential that lies within each of us.
So to our listeners out there, we turn the question to you. What object from myth, history, or even your own imagination, what would you add to this list and why? What hidden depths and untold stories do you think lie within the objects that captivate you? Keep the deep dive going and let us know.